Welcome back. Right now, we are joined by Dr. Marty Becker to talk about our pets' mental health. In fact, a recent survey showed that 7 out of 10 of pet owners prioritize their pets' mental and physical health over their own. And right here in Park City, we love our pets. I'm looking forward to talking more about their mental health. Dr. Becker, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Thank you. I'm joining you from northern Idaho at Almost Heaven Ranch and a frequent visitor to Park City. So you're talking about you love your pets there is no stranger to me. And it's really interesting in Park City. Of course, you have that mix of different people that come, and some people don't want to interact with anybody. So either they're on their phone or they have earbuds in or they just carry themselves that way. But if you have a pet, in Park City, it's a social lubricant. It's a conversation catalyst. There's no way you cannot interact and join in with people.
That is so very true. And we also have some great shelters for our pets here. We have Nuzzles & Co. and other nonprofits that really support helping to find animals homes. And in fact, I want to start there. I know you have some suggestions if you're adopting a new pet, how to go about that, especially when they already have some probably mental health issues, and we want to make sure we don't emotionally scar them even more. So what's a great way to introduce a new pet, or even if you're just going and thinking about adopting a pet, what are some tactics to making sure you keep their emotional mental health in a good place?
You can probably tell by my white hair, the absence of it and the color, that I'm a veterinarian. I've been a veterinarian for over 40 years. Believe it or not, when I went to veterinary school at Washington State University, we were taught that animals didn't have emotions like humans and they didn't feel pain like humans did. And you didn't want to give anything for pain because then you wouldn't be able to assess pain, you'd fix a fractured leg or suture something up and they'd tear it out. And of course, anybody that stepped on their dog's foot knows that they feel pain. And anybody that's a pet parent knows what it's like to come home late and the dog sniffs you and looks at you like, paws on their hips going, "Where have you been, you cheater?" Because you've interacted with another pet. The studies out now, they have a full range of emotions just like we do. They feel fear, they feel anxiety, they feel stress, they feel love, they feel calm. And so that's the first thing to understand, that they have, if you think about it, there hasn't been another domesticated species in 5,000 years. So dogs have this great, have developed with this human relationship, this great range of emotions. And in fact, there's something called the emotional contagion. And that is the ability to recognize signs of fear, anxiety, and stress, or happy and calm in species other than your own. Only humans, some primates, and dogs have that ability. So it's kind of cool. It's not only they can understand another dog that's been stressed or is in pain, but they can understand that in humans as well. And when you think about a shelter pet, you kind of alluded to it. A lot of those they may have been passed from shelter to shelter. They may have come from a different part of the country. And in humans, we can go through therapy and parse out, this happened to me as a child, this happened to me in high school. My dad was an alcoholic. I went through a painful divorce. With animals, you can't parse out what's happened to them. So this amygdala that humans and dogs have and cats have, all animals have, is right up in the roof of your mouth. It's only about the size of an almond, and that's what amygdala is, almond in Latin, but it stores all this negative information of what's happened. And that's why in Fear Free, we look at both physical and emotional well-being of these animals. But one of the things you can do if you're going to get a shelter pet for the first time is you can test drive them, so you can take a pet home and see how it interacts with your household and your other pets. And you can it's really interesting. There's actually studies done based on which way the dog's tail wags, or if their right paw or left paw preference. So the better dogs are easier to train. Their tail swings to the right, and they have a right paw preference. So how are you going to tell if your dog has a right paw preference? You can take a Kong toy or something that's put Kong and stuff it and see which paw they hold that with, and that's the paw preference.
That's a fascinating to hear. What about when you're wanting to maybe correct some bad behaviors or train your pet, whether it's a new pet or you've had it for many years? There's definitely ways you need to approach that to make sure you're not instilling fear and make sure that, once again, the emotional well-being of the pet is at the top of your list.
Well, in the past, it was always about negative reinforcement. If you punish them for stuff they shouldn't do, then you're going to encourage the things they do. And we now know you want positive reward-based training. You want to reward the behaviors. You want to see replicated. And just like with human children, we come from the days of spanking, and I certainly in my in my day, being a child in the 50s, got my share of it, and the way pediatricians handle pets to now looking at the way you relate to human children. So you want to do always positive reward-based training. You reward the things you want repeated. And there's certain movements of trainers that used to be popular on TV that were all about, jerking a chain or flooding them to where they would go. There was something they were scared of. You kept taking it up to it and taking it up to it and taking it up to it until they stopped doing it. And all that does is suppresses that urge, and then it typically manifests itself later. And one of the things that's interesting about dogs too is they all have a genetic exuberance to do something. Terrier comes from the Latin for earth. They want to dig. Retrievers want to retrieve. Sighthounds want to follow something like, that moves really quickly, like a fly ball course. And so zoos, I've been to the Hogle Zoo there in Salt Lake City. They do a better job of enrichment than most homes do in Wasatch County. And so you want to look at, if you have a dog, which I have a little dog that's a canine cocktail, and we actually have places for him in our yard to dig. So we put things inside there, covered up with dirt, and he can go out there and find which one has something in it and excavate it. And so you want these dogs to be able to not just, and even when you feed food, this is going to sound crazy to some people that hear this today. You should not feed most dogs out of food bowls. If you're feeding a prescription diet that's wet, even then I would recommend splitting it up into different portions and putting it in different places around the house where the dog actually has to go to find it in different places. But for most dogs, you want to feed out of food puzzles or food dispensing devices. And by doing that, we live up here in northern Idaho where there's wolves, and it takes 6 steps to eat. You've got to detect your prey, pursue it, apprehend it, kill it, compete with the pack, and finally you belly up to the beast to eat. When you put food in a bowl, you've gone right to step 6, which is belly up to the beast to eat, and that takes a kindergarten degree. So all canids, coyotes, dogs, foxes are all derived from a wolf. And what you're doing in all these wild canids, 80% of their waking hours is spent in pursuit of food. 80%. And when you put food in a bowl and they eat it in 1 minute or 2 minutes, you see what happens. It causes boredom. Boredoms cause behavior problems. So by using food puzzles like a Kong wobbler, a green interactive feeder, there's a bunch of them available on Chewy or Amazon or your local pet stores. It feeds the body and it feeds the mind.
And you are a founder of Fear Free. I know many people would love to continue this conversation, learn more about what you do and prioritize their pets' mental health. So how can we get more information about your organization and reach out to you?
Well, we're lucky. Fear Free Happy Homes is complimentary to all pet parents, and that's the best resource. If you have a dog coming up, thunderstorm season, 4th of July, if they have noise phobia, some snow going off the roof, if they have interspecies aggression or can't walk on a loose leash, all of those things, you can go to fearfreehappyhomes.com and, try to find out people that are in your area. You can go to Fear Free Happy Homes and also find providers in your area. And one of the things you mentioned stuff about shelters, we have a program, fearfreeshelters.com, that's complimentary to all shelters and rescues. And it's an online course that they can take. And it really changes the way you look at your own animal. And I'll just tell you one thing real quick. 99% of people greet pets wrong. You see a pet on the street in Park City or in a parking lot, and you go up to them and you go, oh, and you put your fist out and you go, oh, what kind of dog is it? Can I pet it? You've done 3 things wrong. Direct eye contact, you're looming over like Halloween big and you're putting something right in their face. And what you do actually, the way you greet a pet is you turn sideways to reduce your profile. You squat down, If you can even take a knee, avoid direct eye contact, and call them over to you. It's things that are that simple that you'll learn about interactions with pets.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Marty Becker. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you and talking about our pets' mental health. So thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to seeing you in studio next time you're in Park City. We'll be back with more right after this.